All right. Well, we usually have people filtering in through the morning. So we'll go ahead and get started. Everybody, this is Tyler. Tyler is in Colorado. Tell us about the Relevate. I saw you popped up with that. You got a couple of businesses going on, don't you?
Yeah, Relevate is our team, our expansion team. So we're hubbed in Denver, Colorado, but then also have a location in Phoenix, Arizona. So we have two locations and about 15 agents total between those two locations.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about how you started in the business, how you got to an expansion team, and then we'll kind of get into some of the online leads and things.
Yeah, totally. So I I have kind of a weird story, I think, with real estate. I started in real estate right when I graduated college. But I knew nothing. I got very little coaching. I joined a Century 21 office and it didn't really give me any coaching. So I was kind of your typical like failed real estate agent. Like I got some deals right away, but didn't know how to treat it like a business. Less than a year later, I was out of the business. But I was fascinated by real estate in general. So a couple years later, I found myself working for Veterans United Realty, which is kind of a national referral network. So my job was to refer these potential buyers or sellers to agents across the nation. And so I did that for 3 years. And it was just fascinating being in close proximity to agents and clients. And it kind of gave me that itch again for maybe jumping back into real estate, but with a new understanding kind of how to run the business. Well, at that point, I moved to Colorado and I wasn't quite ready to jump into real estate in a new place. So I took a job at Zillow selling marketing to real estate agents like you guys and like myself. And it again was really eye opening to work with teams and work with agents and learn a new aspect of kind of businesses and teams. And that's really when I was introduced into the team concept and what that looked like. So after about 6 months there, I spent a full year there, but after about 6 months there, I got my real estate license and spent 6 months transitioning from Zillow to the team. So that's kind of been the background journey of spent some time referral, spent some time selling marketing. But by the time that was all done, my biggest conclusion was I want to do this again and I'm ready to attack it. So I attacked it with that vision from the get go of I want to launch a team. I want to not just help buyers and sellers, but want to help agents help buyers and sellers. And so that was kind of the vision from the beginning. And that was in 2016 in earnest is when I launched the team.
That's awesome. Wow. So you said you have about 15 agents. Tell us, how that works with, one, having an expansion team, and two, we
Mhm.
both know that in a market like this, agents on a team need a lot of support, need a lot of guidance, a lot of training, a lot of leads. So tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, so I think expansion is an interesting concept because it forces you to figure out how can I add how can I add, let's say 50% of your GCI worth of value without me being there, without me walking around, without you just getting to hang out or whatever, right? And so it really forces you to have really good value. And so yeah, I think the pillars of our team, I think every team is a little bit different, but the pillars of our team, I would say, is lead gen, leverage, and then training, support, collaboration, kind of all under one. And so I think it starts with training, support, and collaboration. I think we meet 3 times a week. We train, we collaborate, we mastermind. Hey, what are you seeing? What are we seeing? I think when you fail together, you expedite your growth. And so in an ever changing market, it's easier to do that together because one agent figure something else out that works on Monday. They tell everyone else on Tuesday. Then everyone else is sharing their feedback on implementing that on Thursday, right? So there's just a lot of like collaboration back and forth. We have goals that we share 3 times a week. So there's a lot of like in this market, just being close in proximity. But then I also think leads and leverage is important. So how do you support an agent from a lead generation perspective? Not just I'm going to pass you off some leads, but how do I make sure you feel supported fully in your lead generation plan? So marketing to your sphere of influence, connecting you and figuring out how you can get referrals from agents, and obviously providing online leads. So supporting, giving those opportunities so our agents can focus on working those opportunities. And then leverage is I want to try to take everything off your plate that is not like helping buyers and sellers get what they want, right? And so I think that is the marketing and the lead gen and the compliance, and we have showing agents to help with showings and ISAs to help call leads and do follow-ups. And so I think it's you kind of build this robust value
That's awesome. That's incredible. I like that. We fail together, we grow together.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that. So tell me about your lead generation, and I'm sure it was an evolving cycle and model. Tell us about that lead generation piece, because as soon as I have to tell everybody, I put out a post into our team leader sphere, and Tyler's name popped up from so many team leaders and leaders across the nation with how he lead generates. So tell us about how that is nationally recognized, and what are you doing at a high level?
Yeah. So I'll say one thing first before I dive into that. I think I what I'm probably most known for is online leads. And so that's in like Facebook leads. And so that's what I'll spend most of the time talking about. But it's not the only thing I do. And so I would say our top three lead sources are Sphere, agent referral, and online leads. And so I think regardless of what your like niche is, like Sphere should be a huge part of your business. You should figure out how to do that, right? And so we do that, and that is our biggest lead source. But if your Sphere is not giving you all the closings you want, then you need to either dive deeper into your Sphere or figure out how are you going to grow your Sphere or grow deals such that your Sphere can give you what you want. And online lead generation has always been something from the very beginning for me because of my background at Zillow, but also just because it made so much sense to me that I want to capture traffic where most people are looking at homes for sale, or most people are online. So I want to try to figure out how to capture traffic. And then I just, something about me personally, I felt way better contacting someone if I had a reason to contact them versus like the cold calling route. So cold calling works. It's great. It just wasn't for me. And so I said, I want to try something where at least I have a reason I'm calling them. Even if it's just they looked at an ad I posted on Facebook, even if they weren't like saying, I need you to help me, I still felt better having some reason to reach out. And so that's why I've always sort of been in that online lead gen game. My journey to Facebook leads has just been a journey of chasing two things: chasing return on investment and chasing control. And so if you think about it, first of all, in your business, like as a business owner, your number one goal is to get a return on your investment. If I spend $1, I want to get 10 back, right? And so, MREA says marketing should be 10% of your overall, GCI. And so that means you should get a 10 times ROI on what you spend. Every dollar you spend, you should get 10 back in return. So you want to try to chase good return on investment. And then secondarily, you want to chase control, meaning I'm the one that's deciding like how much to spend and when the leads come in and how the leads come in. If you just spend money with someone like Zillow, for instance, they have all the control. They decide, what you're going to pay for that. They decide how long you're going to be in a contract. They could tell you halfway through the contract, sorry, it's not yours anymore. When that contract's over, they'll probably tell you to pay twice as much for the same leads, right? You have zero, and they may or may not actually deliver the leads that they told you they were going to deliver, right? They have all the control. And so I realized over time, as I just measured ROI in that control, is that buying leads through Zillow or things like that was not sustainable because they had the control and the ROI was tanking. And so moving to Facebook leads through Command was the opportunity for me to have better ROI, better return on investment, and all the control because I'm building the ads, I'm running them. I could turn off the leads tomorrow if I want to. I could double my spend tomorrow if I want to. I can change who I market to because I get to control what the ad says. And so, Facebook leads through Command was a specific way for my team to take more control and get more return on investment with our lead gen. And so that's really where we've shifted a lot of focus in lead gen since 2020. So.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think we're seeing that even more so now with, some online lead, like third-party sources that we're paying for. We're almost paying double or a premium on when we have all of the resources within our KW sphere to generate them for ourselves through Command.
Yeah, totally. I think like the thing I was thinking about as I was going to chat is I was like, There really is, like in lead generation, there's no magic pill, there's no magic bullet. But like I imagine if you have someone here every single week talking about something in regards to lead gen, what you'll see staring you back in the face every single week is hard work. Like that's what gets the results. The thing is, you just have to choose your hard, like choose the hard that you want to do. And so for me, it's equally as hard to not do any lead generation, make no money, and then have to explain to my wife and my family why we're not making any money, right? Like that is equally as hard to me. So I might as well choose the hard of lead generation. But even within lead gen, no one tells you you should do it a certain way. There's a lot of different ways to make a lot of money in real estate, which is one of the reasons why I love it. And so you get to go figure out, like on these Wednesday calls, like people tell you what's working for them. You get to decide what sounds good to you and then choose that. But just know that whatever you choose is gonna look a lot like hard work. So choose the thing that you're willing to work really, really hard at. And I'm a big proponent for working in areas that you're passionate about or areas that you enjoy, not just because you're happy when you do it, but because when you work in an area you enjoy, something you love doing, you unlock hard work. You're more apt to work hard if you love it. And so the answer isn't that you love it. The answer is hard work. But if you do something you love, you'll probably work harder than if you do something you hate. And so that's the idea in terms of just the macro level lead gen plan.
Absolutely. 100%. Going back to the sphere, because I think everybody, no matter who you ask, they're more comfortable talking to people they know than they
Yeah.
are talking to somebody that comes through online. So if we're going to jump back to that for a second, what does that look like for you? What does that process look like for you? Are you utilizing command? What are the scripts that you use? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think man, there's a lot of aspects to a good sphere plan, but I think overall, two things are really, really important to keep in mind with your sphere. At any given moment, everyone in your sphere needs to know what you do and that you're good at your job, or they need to perceive that you're good at your job. Okay. You don't actually have to be good at your job. They just have to think you're good at your job. But if you're not good at your job, they won't keep working with you.
And
right?
they'll find out.
You'll get one shot, but you won't get multiple and you won't get referrals. So what I mean by that is if you gave me a list of your sphere and I started calling down, I said, hey, do you know what David does? They better say he's in real estate, right? And then if I said, well, what is your thought? You think he's doing well, not doing well? They better say, man, seems to be killing it to me. I always see him posting about a closing or showing some houses or whatever, right? So where people get it wrong is they believe, some people do neither of those. They just like think their sphere is going to reach out to them, right? But a lot of people get it wrong because they stop at step one. Well, they know I'm in real estate, right? Yeah, but if you saw what they see about your business, would you work with you? Right? That's the thing. So they have to perceive that you're good at what you do. And if you're complaining about how hard business is, or you're never posting about real estate, or you're never talking about it, or you never whatever, then like they're not going to think you're good at your job, right? So it centers around those two things. And so then I think, how do I do that? How do I stay top of mind? Well, I think the best way to stay top of mind is not solicitation, but value adding. And so I just think about marketing to my sphere as, how can I add value often enough that they never forget about me? And in adding value, oftentimes you prove that you're a market expert, right? A small example might be, in Colorado, a big thing is to have your sprinklers blown out, like in September, something like that, right? And maybe that happens there. Maybe you guys don't need sprinkler systems. I don't know, but you guys probably get enough rain. We don't. So every fall, like sprinklers need to get blown out, right? But like a way that you can add value as an agent is just to say, hey, I found a great sprinkler blowout person, and he's awesome. I negotiated a great price for you. In fact, I just blocked out his whole schedule this week. So if you want a time slot, here you go, right? That's an awesome way to add value for something they're going to need to do that's home related, that shows that you're an expert, you know what a homeowner needs. And so it's little things like that. But sometimes it's just fun. Like last Saturday, we had an outdoor movie event. And so we had rented a place at a little park. We had a blow up movie screen. We had popcorn and candy and food and whatever. We sat out at the lawn at the park, and we watched Sandlot, like just kind of an old classic. And we had 150 people show up. And that was just a great way. It's nothing real estate related, but it was just a great way to say, hey, I want to add value. I want to have a cool thing for you to do. And so our sphere campaign is really built around those value touches, events, and like what we call homeowner value touches. So we try to do one of each of those once a quarter. And then each of those gets emails and texts and kind of reminders around that event. And that becomes the baseline of our sphere. But then I want to add one more thing, because I think you do that, that's great. But you should also be in the practice once a quarter of just looking through your sphere list and just letting your gut tell you who you think you should probably go meet with, right? So what we really try to do is ideally you call everyone in your sphere once a quarter, but even better, look through your list and just let your gut tell you, who should I go meet with? Because they probably have a real estate need. You don't need to like reach out and say, do you have a real estate need? But I bet if you looked at your sphere list consistently, you would know, oh, they've been in that house for 10 years. And I know they've had 3 kids since they've been in that house. Like they probably have a real estate need. I don't need to go like solicit straight up front. I could just say, hey, it's been a while. Let's go grab coffee. I'd love to check in and just see how life is. I could come genuinely just wanting to know how things are going and know that they'll likely bring something up. Or someone got a big promotion and they probably should be thinking about real estate investing. I'm going to go schedule. So just be in the habit of knowing your people and letting your gut tell you who you should go meet with. And then let serendipity do the rest. They'll be like, man, it's so ironic that you reached out because I was thinking about real estate, right? So like let your gut. So add that on top of that. And I think that's a pretty effective plan for Sphere.
Absolutely. Our guest speaker last week's, her goal for the last year was to become the most well-known real estate agent in her area. And she ended up doing, some consecutive events, and she had a movie night and they had over 500 people attend after just keeping the name out there so long and keeping it consistent. Which it sounds like in all of the things that you do, consistency is kind of the key in all of them.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, like hard work is really just what it looks like. Like you take the veil off and it looks like hard work. And so like, yeah, like the concept of like communicate with your sphere doesn't seem that hard, right? But the hard isn't doing it consistently and like having the plan and executing where most people won't. The beautiful thing about hard work is that most people don't do it. So if you're willing to do it, then you have a leg up on most people, but it's going to look like hard work, whether it's open houses or whether it's whatever, like doing it well looks like hard work. Facebook leads, anything, right?
All right. So let's talk about Facebook leads. Tell us a little bit about, money spent, conversions, things like that, and what you're doing to keep those converting in your team.
Love it. Okay. Well, you guys caught me at a good time because Jason Abrams reached out to me a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey, we want you to speak at Mega Camp. Can you kind of generate a new 1-pager on Facebook ads for like, for like updated numbers for this year? And so I have that. It's really messy data, but I'll share it with you guys. You'll hear it before anybody else hears it. So, so let me walk through this here. This is going to be I'll go ahead and just share this. It's really messy. It's literally a Word doc. It's going to look beautiful at Mega Camp, but it's not going to look beautiful here. So let me just pull it up here. Now, the way I always like try to wrap my brain around simplifying things. So what you're going to see here is you're going to see what I believe are steps, right? I think there's, 6 steps, okay, to having success through Facebook leads and command. And there's kind of notes around each steps, but here's going to be your steps. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to create ads that generate leads. Create ads in command that generate leads, right? So some notes that I'll say there. The best ads are always advertising a specific listing that's coming for sale, right? So if you have a listing or someone in your office has a listing, the best cost per lead ads are always saying, hey, take a look at this listing coming soon, right? Second most common ad that I run is just a type of search. So if you don't have a listing to add, then you could just say, check out all the homes for sale under 400,000 in this city, right? You can run an ad like that, right? So I'm not going to get super specific into building the ads today because there's a lot of content I can give there. But what I would recommend is go check out Command Your Conversion Facebook page. And there's like millions of like comments and posts and videos in there of like what good ads look like. So I would just recommend go that route. But I promise what Keller Williams has done really, really well is they make building Facebook ads incredibly easy. It's like, if you've never done it before, it's very, very easy to get in there and do it. So the hard part will not be generating leads. I promise you, the hard part will not be generating leads, right? But step 1 is to build some ads and to generate generate some leads. I will note that I did a case study of the 260 most recent Facebook leads that I generated. And so these numbers I'm going to give you are based on those. Now, my average cost per lead for those leads is around $10 a lead, which I think is pretty high. I think nationally, you're going to be able to get that lower. Denver is kind of just a high price area. And I think that we've just seen higher cost per lead. But let's operate under $10 a lead as an assumption. I can buy leads for $10 a lead. So your first goal, create ads that generate leads. Okay. Next, you're going to leverage smart plans and calls to get a hold of the leads, right? So I think the thing that really sets me apart with Facebook ads and command and all that is that if someone else, most other people, if they generated a 6-step process for command leads, 5 of the steps would be how to build the ad. And 1 of the steps would be on converting. For me, 1 of the steps is on building the ads, and 5 of the steps are on converting, because the magic is in the conversion process. Like, there are people in Keller Williams that make money by just knocking on strangers' doors, right? So I promise you, the lead itself does not matter nearly as much as your follow-up, right? And so that's what's important. So when I say leverage smart plans plus calls to get a hold of leads, Keller Williams has smart plans, which when you add them to your Facebook ads, automatically send emails and texts on your behalf. You don't even have to text or email the leads. The system does it for you, right? In fact, there's a library of smart plans that other agents have built that you can just copy and use for yourself. You don't even have to build them yourself. I would recommend you go search Relevate in the smart plan library and just steal my smart plans and use those. So you don't have to think about how often to email or text them or what to say. It's already in the smart plan, right? Go look up Relevate, or you can search my name, Tyler, and you'll find those smart plans. But what you're going to supplement on those smart plans is phone calls. Okay. I recommend 4 calls in the first week. So 4 calls in the first week. That's once right when the lead comes in, and then 3 more times throughout the week. You just decide whenever's convenient for you to try to get a hold of them. So you're going to have 4 calls. That smart plan is going to have like 10 automatic touches, text or email. So you're going to try to get a hold of them 14 times in that first week. Okay. Now, 2 things. 1, when you get a hold of them, stop doing those touches. The whole point is to get a hold of them. So don't keep calling them 4 times in a week if you got a hold of them, right? They tell you to stop, or if you have a good conversation, you're going to switch to a different follow-up process. 2, I know what you're thinking. 14 sounds like a lot. It is. It's a lot. And that is the hard work that will get the results. National Association of Realtors says you've got to call an online lead 7 times before you're most likely to get a hold of them, right? 7 times. And so I think 14 touches is going to be that sweet spot, right? And I'll say one more thing that I like to say. If you still doubt 14 times is a smart strategy, you are likely in your head doing what I like to say, assuming the FU, right? What happens a lot is we start calling leads, they don't answer, and we just assume they're mad at us. And so we stop calling. We're like, I've called 3 times, they haven't answered. They must hate me. I'm going to stop calling, right? They've never told you to go away or stop. You're just assuming that they're mad at you, right? We give up because we assume they're mad at us, not because we know they're actually mad at us, right? And so that's just an important thing to keep in mind. Keep at it. More often than not, people are not angry. We happen to be calling at the same time. They're like, I'm so sorry. How can I help you? Right? To give you some notes on that, in my case study of the 260 leads, the last 260 leads we generated, we got 2-way communication with 92 of them. So 35% we were able to get a hold of. Okay, 35%. Now, that means 65% we were not able to get a hold of. Right? I get it. That's a lot of leads. That's a high percentage to not get a hold of. But with Facebook conversion, it is important that you focus on the positive and not the negative. It's really easy to just think 65% aren't even answering me. This isn't working. No, that's the plan. That's part of the process. 65% won't answer. They'll have bad contact information. They'll be like at mickeymouse.com, whatever. That's fine. Like, just ignore that. The point is 35% will answer, and those are the ones that are going to get your focus, right? Now, I will note 35% has almost always been true, even dating back to 2020. So in good markets, in bad markets, this is rung true about how many people answer, right? Okay. So I'm going to keep working throughout. Someone was in the comments. Oh, okay. There's something else. Okay, great. Step 3. So once you get a hold of them, step 3 is positive conversation or scripts. And ultimately what you're trying to accomplish is permission to follow up, right? Take it one step at a time. You're not trying to get a sale. You're not trying to get an appointment. You're just trying to get permission to follow up with them. And when you realize that, it takes a lot of pressure off. Understand that Facebook leads are really beginning stage of the process. You guys know how long someone is often looking on Zillow before they submit a lead through Zillow? You guys know?
Isn't it like 6 weeks? 10 weeks?
It is actually 6 months.
Whoa.
6 months. Someone is typically looking on Zillow for 6 months before they submit a lead. A Facebook lead is the equivalent of someone registering to start their search on Zillow. So that's what you have to understand. They're at the beginning stages of the process. That doesn't mean some people won't be ready to go, but you have to understand that they're here, not down here. And so when we talk about scripting, I'm not going to say, hey, I see you're looking to buy a house. How can I help? Right? I'm going to say, I saw you posted some homes online. Any questions about any of those homes? Just curious, if you found your dream home, when would you want to move in? What does your dream home look like? I know you're probably not quite ready yet, but I'll keep an eye out if I find something perfect for you. You know, you're meeting them where they're at, which is helping them to discover whether or not they're in the market to buy or sell. And then once they're in the market to buy or sell, be the agent that helped them discover that. And that's top of mind so that you're the agent they end up working with, right? It requires a little bit of patience, but if you meet them where they're at, you're going to be able to get permission to follow up, right? So to give you some numbers here, in my case study, of the 92 leads that we got a hold of, 20 were positive real estate conversation with permission to follow up. So that's 8% of the leads. Okay. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot. I get it, but it's the truth. So of these leads, 20, I had great conversations with, permission to follow up. Yes, I'm interested, right? The rest were like, no, thank you. Leave me alone. Not buying right now. Those types of things. So a note here, this percentage has decreased since like when the market was better, there was a lot higher percentage of positive real estate conversation because quite frankly, a lot higher percentage of people thought it was a good idea to buy when interest rates weren't at 7%. Right? A lot less people think it's a great time to buy right now. And that's reflected in our conversations. So we are we're having less positive conversation. Part of that, I think, is auto opt-out requirements. Like every CRM now has, you have to include a certain thing on the first text that says reply no to opt out, something like that. And so that's made it easier for people to opt out and to get negative two-way communication. But everyone requires it. So it just is what it is. All right. So just to repeat here, the goal here is to meet the lead where they're at. Leads look on portal sites an average of 6 months before they submit a lead, but these leads are usually on day one of their home search. Meet them where they're at. We have this dream home script that I can share to get sent out that kind of outlines what I talked about. But the idea with the initial conversation is meet them where they're at. It is not, hey, this is Tyler with Keller Williams. I see you're looking to buy a house. How can I help? No, it is, I saw you posted some homes online. Any questions about those homes? No, just browsing? Oh, okay, great. Well, that's what the site's there for. Feel free to keep browsing. Just curious, if you found the perfect property, when would you want to move in? That's Dream Home Script. That's our script we use for these leads because it allows them to kind of just dream, but still gives us a timeline that we can operate on. If a lead says, well, if you found me my dream home, I would buy in 6 months. Okay, great. Then go find them a home that they like. And they just told you they'd buy in 6 months if you find them a home that you like. I can't ask for a better thought than that, right? Okay, I'm going to pause real quick. We have a couple more steps, but that's the first 3 steps. Let me pause there. Any questions on those first 3 steps before I keep going? Because there's 3 more steps after that. But create ads, generate leads, leverage smart plans and calls, get a hold of leads, and then positive conversation scripts to get permission to follow up. Any questions on any of that?
Are you using command to set up those calls within the first week in step 2?
Good question. No, but I think you can. So it's kind of a weird thing, but I'll explain it anyways. What we found is what Command can do is it can like remind you to make a call. Like it'll give you a to-do that says, hey, call today. What we found, I think that's great. We did start that way. But what we found over time is that your to-dos kind of pile up and it's all different types of calls. So you'll log in and you got 90 calls to make today, or let's just say 40, but each call is different. This call is to call a new lead. This call is to follow up with an existing lead. This call is to call someone that's under contract. I found that it was not really efficient to have a pile of calls all in one pile that are different types of calls. So instead, we leverage a calendar call block system. So we say, all right, I have 3 times a week, I'm going to call every lead that I've not gotten a hold of yet. So then I just need to go to Command and search for every lead that I haven't gotten a hold of yet. And then 3 times a week, I call all of those. And then I just know that if I follow my call blocks, everyone will get the calls they're supposed to get. Because then after a week, they automatically move to a different stage and they're no longer in that call block, right? Once a week, I call people I've gotten a hold of. So I basically just built in my calendar, what are the different blocks that I need to do every week if I'm going to do all the calls I'm supposed to? And that's how I make sure I get all my calls done. But I think in starting out, you can certainly just leverage add in reminders for calls. So
that's exactly why I asked, because Command tasks can get a little bit overwhelming and disorganized. I love that idea, that system. So thank you.
I mean, just imagine, you don't have to think about, like, when I know that I'm going to call 50 leads that I haven't gotten a hold of yet, I don't need to think about it. I don't need to look at the lead before I dial, because I know it's the same script with every single lead. But if each lead is in a different scenario, I have to pause and think about it with every lead. And so now I have to be in front of my desk where I can research the context, right? But if I'm not, I can just be calling people while I'm driving to a showing or something like that. So you're just way more apt to actually get it done because you've made it easier for yourself. So
Absolutely. Love that.
So there you go.
Anybody else have questions before we move on to step 4? Cool.
Great. Yeah, feel free to post stuff in chat if you guys ever have a question, and I'll try to do good about jumping in there. Okay, let me jump to step 4. So again, at this point, you've generated some leads, you've leveraged smart planes and calls to get a hold of them, you got a hold of them, and you got permission to follow up, right? Maybe they didn't schedule an appointment, but at least, you had a conversation about their dream home and when they want to move in, and you said, hey, would it be okay if I found anything even close to your dream home that I send it to you? They say yes. Great. Now I have permission to follow up, right? Step 4 is follow up long-term. Your goal then is to get in person, a consultation or a showing. Okay. So in my case study, of the 20 leads that we had positive real estate conversations with, 7 so far, and right, there's more time, there's long-term follow-up that can happen. We just closed a lead three months ago that registered in April of 2020, right? So the long-term follow-up increases all these numbers, but just in this the last 260 leads, 7 already were at the consultation or showing stage. We had already met with them. They had turned into an appointment. So 2.7% of the leads overall, we ended up meeting with and having a showing or an appointment or something like this. Ironically, remember when I said the amount of leads that we had permission to follow up with, the percentage has dropped? Well, ironically, at this stage, this has not dropped. This has always been true, 2.7%. So what I'm finding is that less people are giving me permission to follow up. But when they give me permission to follow up, they're more serious in this market than they were in the previous market, right? Again, everyone thought it was a good idea to buy when rates were low, right? Very few people think it's a good idea to buy when rates are high. So if they tell you they're looking to buy, they're probably more serious, and that has rung true. A higher percentage of people that give us permission to follow up now turn into showings and consultations. Our long-term follow-up process is what I call doors of value. And so remember when I said earlier, the way that you market to Sphere is just by adding value over time? Well, it's the same way that you market to Facebook leads over time as well. You don't market by just soliciting. Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Same thing your kids do on a road trip. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? But that's how most people follow up, right? Instead, you're going to add value. So it's very simple. Every week or two, if you have permission to follow up, you're going to follow up every week or two and try to add value until they walk through that door to the next step of the process, right? The next step of the process is a consultation or a showing. So every week or two, I'm just offering a different door of value that I'm hoping they're going to walk through to the next step of the process. One example might be, hey, you said you were looking for this. I found a property that seems really close to your dream home. Would you want to go take a look at it? Right? That's value. I found something you said was your dream home. Do you want to go see it? Right? It might be something as simple as, hey, I know you weren't quite sure if you could, afford to buy right now or not. I got a great lender running a really good program for first-time home buyers. Would you want to talk with them? Maybe able to save a bunch of money on down payment, right? Or it might just be, hey, I don't want to annoy you with the homes I'm emailing over. Is there anything you need me to do to adjust that search so that you're only getting homes that you love, right? Another one might be, hey, I'm hosting an open house for a home that's really similar to what you said was your dream home. I'll be there this Saturday between 10 and 2. If you want to stop by, feel free to stop by, right? And so just things like that every week or two. We're not going to be able to control when they're ready to buy or sell, but we can control if we're the first agent that they think of when they are ready. And you do that by staying top of mind and adding value, okay? We don't badger the client, we add value. Again, your conversion here increases over time. As I said, we just closed a lead in April. That was a command lead that registered April of 2023. One of the first leads we ever generated through command just closed this spring, right? I'm not saying 3 years is the timeline for all of them, but I am saying if you follow this faithfully, even for 3 years, if it means 3 years, your conversion will increase over time, right? It'll be even more than this. All right. This fifth step is really simple. I don't think I have to coach you guys on this step. When you have someone that you've met with or you've done a showing with, you now have an active client. So let your real estate experience take over and work that active client to get a closing. So far of the 260 leads, the last 260 leads we've generated, 2 leads so far have led to a closing. That's a 0.7% conversion rate, right? And I just made a note. I think that conversion rate seems about right. I think 1% or more is possible, but I think most people are going to settle into the 0.5 to 1% conversion rate range, right? And again, just a reminder, like this part of the process is what everyone's good at, like just work the client. Now, here's the thing I'm going to double tap on. This is why this is the part of Facebook leads that's a lot of hard work. You're going to go through 99, you're going to go through 100 leads, right? And of those 100 leads, 99 are not going to work out. They'll never answer. They'll have bad contact information. They'll say no from the beginning, or you'll have a good conversation, but they'll never follow up with you. They'll never answer, or you'll meet, or then they just kind of fall off the face of the earth. Out of those 99, 1 is going to end up transacting, right? But the 1 can lead to really, really good money, right? So let's look down here. In my case study, I spent roughly $2,600 on leads, about $10 a lead, 260 leads. I spent about $2,600 on lead over a couple month time span. But what did I make in those 2 closings? $24,000. $24,000. That is right around a 10 times ROI, right? That's ROI works really, really well, right? That ROI works really, really well. But the conversion is not great. Most people focus on this 0.7%. They're like, I don't want to work that source. But most of you would sign up for $24,000 in commission, right? Probably all of you, right? So the key is having proper mindset around, hey, it's going to be 99 bad leads, but at every step of the process, right? When at the first step, I generate 260 leads, I'm only going to get a hold of 92. I'm not going to worry about the 150 that didn't answer. I'm just 170. I'm just going to worry about the 92 that answered. Not going to worry about the bad, right? I got a hold of 92, but only 20 were positive conversation. I'm not going to worry about the 72 that weren't good conversation. I'm just going to focus on the 20 that were positive. Of the 20, only 7 so far have actually ended up meeting with me or showing. I'm not worried about those 13. I'm worried about the 7. Those are the ones that are getting my time and energy. Of the 7 I was actively showing, only 2 have actually closed so far. I'm not worried about the 5 that haven't. I'm not mourning the 5 that haven't. I'm not focusing on the negative. I'm focusing on the positive that 2 have already closed, right? That's important as you walk through this process. And the final step of the process is to use your return on investment to reinvest in leads. When you figure out that it worked, when you figure out that, man, I bought 260 leads and I got 2 closings and I kind of know my numbers throughout the process and I got a 10 times ROI, well, now your next step, go buy 520 leads in the same time frame. Work the same system. and see those closings double. And then don't stop. Keep scaling. Like most every real estate team ever that grew started with some sort of lead generation system that was working. And then when it worked, they doubled down. And then it created more leads than they could handle. So then they hired people, right? And then they grew. And that's how we launched our business. That's how other people launched their business. So that's the one pager. That's the 6-step process for you guys. So there you go.
So good. No wonder they're putting it at Mega Camp. That is so good.
Going to make it look a lot more beautiful than that, but that's the rough numbers.
Yeah. Well, it's just so interesting to me because as we're getting into like step 3 and 4, you're like, oh, does this even really work? Looking at the numbers dwindling down, but then you see that ROI. That's insane. That's great. And it would build from there. The one question I do have is I can't remember what the exact number was now, but I think it was step 2 or 3. Those people that do not have a 2-way conversation, do you put them on any type of smart plan to nurture them long term?
That's a great question. So here's our process to try to get a hold of somebody. There's 14 touches in the first week. 4 of those are phone calls, 10 are automatic text or email. If I don't get a hold of them, then we have a second phase plan, which is a smart plan in Command that goes for 4 more weeks and has 14 touches over those 4 weeks, right? So it's 1 call a week and then 10 automatic touches over those 4 weeks. So the frequency is much less. It's a fourth of the frequency in the first week, but we're still trying. So over 5 weeks, we've tried nearly 30 times to get a hold of them, right? If I still don't get a hold of them, still haven't heard back, then whatever ad they clicked on, I'm going to set up a property search of homes similar to that ad that sends them homes weekly until they opt out or until they respond. So I will, from that point on, I'm not going to proactively reach out to them. I'm only going to reactively reach out to them. So what I mean is either they reach out to me about a home they saw, or a beautiful feature of Command is you can see when people are looking at homes that you sent them. If you send someone a link, Command will tell you if they clicked on it and looked at those homes on the site. So I'm not going to proactively call if I don't know whether they're interested or not. But if I see that they're looking at homes that I'm sending them, even if they've never answered, I'm going to call. I'm going to say, hey, I noticed you checked out some homes on the site. Any questions I can answer for you, right? Or I'm going to text or I'm going to email. So that's the plan. I never stop unless they tell me to stop.
That's awesome.
But you do need to, like, the only way you can do a 1% conversion is if you get as efficient as possible with your time and with your energy. So I'm not manually making 14 touches in the week. I'm just doing 4 calls. And I'm not doing 4 calls with everyone because a lot of people answer the first call or the second call, right? And I'm not doing any manual thing after that first 5 weeks. I'm just set it and forget it unless I see some activity, right? And who doesn't want a dashboard full of leads that are looking on your website and that becomes your lead gen for the week, is reaching out to those people, right? Absolutely. And so that's setting yourself up for success over time.
So good. So good. It's an excellent, like you said, supplement to the database. Because as we know, a database has a larger return, but if you're looking to build to then extend leads into your team, that just makes so much sense.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Anybody else have questions? All just in shock how good that was. Mic drop. Yeah. Awesome. Well, without further ado, unless you have anything else for us, Tyler, that was incredible.
I don't. It is it can be overwhelming. I totally get it. And so it's kind of up to you guys. You look at it and you go, hey, that's for me or that's not for me. I never try to sell anyone on Facebook leads because it's a lot of hard work. But I think if you're like, man, like, what could I do? I taught this class a couple years back, and there's a brand new agent in the class and in Colorado Springs down the road. And for him, it just made a ton of sense. He's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what my next step is. Like, so I'm just going to lean into this. A year later, I came back to the market center, was teaching a different class. He's like, hey, you probably don't remember me. I was in this class a year ago, just finished my first full year as a real estate agent and closed 13 deals from Command Leads. And it was just following the system. But because he had nothing better to do, like, it was his best option in front of him. And so I always tell people, if you have a better lead or better opportunities than Facebook leads, then work that. That's great. But if you don't, then this can work if you work it, right? but it doesn't work really well if you have a lot of better opportunities instead. Like just go work those, right? But it can definitely work. So that's my
No
thought there.
doubt. No doubt. You proved it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Tyler, so much. If nobody else has any questions, I really appreciate this. You got a comment there from Lisa.
Absolutely. You're welcome, Lisa. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tyler, for taking your time to pour into us over here in a little old Delaware. And I look forward to seeing you at Mega Camp.
Okay. That sounds awesome, guys. Thanks for having me.
See ya.
Thank
Adios.
you.